A little heartbroken over the very respectful end of Lucas and Elizabeth's engagement.
I wish you all the happiness in the world, Elizabeth.
Where do we pick up? How is my guy Lucas doing?
He is still heartbroken from that separation, but I think Lucas has always maintained that he really wants the best for Elizabeth and he really wants her to be at her happiest. And so if that dynamic wasn't something that would cause her to be in her most happy state, then he doesn't want to be a part of it. He still wants her in his life. He says at one point that he'd rather have her friendship than not have her, around at all. So
that man
he
is
cherishes
built
that.
different.
Lucas is built different. Hope Valley has a great therapist, and Lucas takes up all of their time.
We need to introduce that character. Maybe in season 12 we introduce the town therapist.
It's Ned.
He is a sweet man. He has really good advice.
Yeah.
Also Joseph.
Yes, that's true. He's heartbroken, but he's also very focused with his new job.
So he's now officially the governor.
He is governor, yeah.
What are you doing here?
Are we picking up the pieces from how he got shot, who shot him?
Lucas doesn't remember who shot him, why, who was there, anything. He smacked his head and lost his memory. So last thing he remembers is stepping out of his campaign office. What a short-lived celebration.
Seriously, he worked so hard in a short amount of time
Yeah.
to clinch the win.
He gets the win, and then he's ultimately, of course, faced with this horrible tragedy.
Yeah.
Are we going to get answers? Are we going to see his recovery?
Yeah, we do see his recovery, him going from pretty broken in episode 1, and it takes a bit, but
Yeah.
he recovers well.
I hope he's not recovering by himself, even though he's not with Elizabeth. Is she providing any sort of aid?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of emotional support there. Elizabeth, Jack, who else comes? Edwin is there quite a bit, but that's more of a professional position. The gentleman that wanted to take to the waters.
Oh, perfection.
He's the governor's advance man, and he was laying groundwork, just sussing out Hope Valley. And then once Lucas becomes governor, Edwin starts working for him.
So we don't need to worry about Lucas being alone.
In a bed recovering.
He's not broken, physically and emotionally
Thank
by
goodness.
himself in the dark with a little candle.
He's got a good network of people around him.
Yes, he has lots of friends and support.
Okay, good.
Now, assuming our guy Lucas makes a full recovery, is home still Hope Valley, or does he have to go move to Capital City?
He has a bit of an identity crisis with that because the tethers that he had to Hope Valley have been severed. He had to sell the saloon because that was a conflict of interest with him being governor. So that's been let go, and then he's no longer with Elizabeth. So he does feel a little bit sort of floating and unsure, but I think at the same time, there's just something about Hope Valley, that particular chapter of his life, it's had a lot of mini sub-chapters, I think has had a big impact on him, and he is very happy there.
Oh, good.
And so
our boy is not moving.
Lucas is not going anywhere despite being governor.
Okay, good.
He is supposed to maintain office in Capital City, and that's actually quite a big part of what sort of opens up this conversation between Elizabeth and Lucas about is this right, because she wants to stay in Hope Valley. He's going to have to go there for work. But at the end of the day, they get to the truth of the matter and realize that there's just something not quite right about what they thought was whole. However, there are some issues that cause Lucas to maintain in Hope Valley. Despite needing to go to Capital City and move his life there, he ironically ends up back in Hope Valley as governor to take care of some problems.
Okay. Now, I love that Lucas is the epitome of maturity, that he is able to still have Elizabeth in his life, even though they're no longer engaged.
Right.
Is he moving on and kind of letting go, or are we going to see him maybe fight to get his former fiancée back?
I think that Lucas has sort of reached the top of the mountain in his fight, and he sees at this point that no matter how hard he fights, you can't change something that has something to do with the other person. So he takes a step back at this point and is, I think, internally struggling with being heartbroken, but at the same time has so much empathy and compassion for Elizabeth and really wants her to be happy. That's sort of always been his main single focus is, I want you to be happy with me.
Yes, preferably with me.
Lucas. Yeah.
Okay.
But he maintains that, and there are some nice tender moments where he talks to both Elizabeth and Nathan.
Oh.
And says, if there's something that you want to pursue, don't hold back on my account.
So sort of like giving his blessing.
Correct. Yeah.
That she not only move on, but move on with Nathan.
Yes.
Again, this man is built different.
Yeah.
How are those conversations? Because, Nathan and Lucas didn't exactly get off to a wonderful start. But in watching the show, it's been really refreshing to see that these two gentlemen have come to such a wonderful place
They
of
have.
understanding and compassion.
Yeah.
But now that there's this whole new variable in the mix,
Mm-hmm.
how is Lucas handling that?
I think Lucas approaches it quite strongly and maturely. There are certain things that Nathan witnesses out of context that he's kind of struggling with, like, well, are they over, are they not, where do I stand? He should go see Ned.
Pay a visit to
Build that
town-
self-confidence
Yes.
and yeah.
Town therapist, please.
Yeah.
How does Lucas find out that Elizabeth and Nathan are somewhat pursuing a romance?
I think Lucas has always known that there's an attraction there.
You think
he
in the
just
back
thought
of his
his
mind.
was stronger.
And it was for a season, for a chapter, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in Lucas's mind that there's any other person besides Nathan that Elizabeth has feelings for.
Yeah, that could capture her heart.
Yeah.
He's not exactly shocked.
No, he's not shocked at all. In fact, he's anticipating it and expecting it.
It's gonna be tough for
Mm-hmm.
Lucas to avoid his former fiance and her new possible partner
Yeah.
hanging about around town. How does Lucas handle all that?
There's the aspect of your own heartbreak and disappointment, and then there's also the fact that you can't change how someone else feels, and so that's almost freeing in a sense, right? It's not like you made a mistake. You've done something and you've caused this explosion. There's only so much he can really pity himself or wallow in that. It was a very strong missed opportunity, I think, for him, or what he thought was his future path is not, and that's always a juggle and a shock.
Do we get to a place of happiness in season 11?
No, not in a romantic way. He's really doing everything in his power to save Hope Valley from the times that are changing and just the way that things are shifting landscape-wise with the town and the economy and just the times in general. And so he's kind of trying to fight his way up this giant mountain and doing everything in his power to look out for Hope Valley and make sure that Hope Valley can maintain operating, in its bubble that's so great.
Yeah.
Every character that comes here wants to stay. So he's focused on protecting that future for following generations. And so yeah, he is quite busy
Yeah.
in that regard, and I think that certainly helps him get through this period. But it's definitely not an easy period because he's just getting hammered from all different directions.
I know. It's
as
like
governor.
when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
This might be too premature of a question, but I'm curious if you thought about it. Do you think about Lucas pursuing romance with somebody else on the show?
I think it would be too soon, and I'm really happy that from a writing standpoint, we haven't tried to shove that in and add it and explore it right now. And in future seasons, if there becomes someone else who, maybe he'll be even happier with than he would have been with Elizabeth, that's great. But for the time being, I've really enjoyed this current trajectory.
So outside of Lucas's love life, what can we expect from him in season 11?
There's someone from Lucas's past who comes, who we know as the poor widow, Jeanette, in season 6, who may or may not be a poor old widow.
Oh, it remains to be seen.
Till they decided to poke his nose into my business.
What business is that? Cheating widows out of their livelihood.
She didn't pay what she owed.
Because you kept jacking up the interest on her loan.
Again, my business, not yours.
How does he react to that? Because I know he's dealing already with quite a bit on his plate.
Yeah, not well. It's just another thing to pile on top. Lucas may not have been, not that he was untruthful, but maybe left a few details out about his connection and relationship to Jeanette. And so there's some new information for fans that wasn't known before.
Oh gosh, I can only imagine what Elizabeth's reaction to such information.
That is part of, that's an aspect of season 11. Yeah.
Okay, so the complication continues
It does.
to get sticky.
Yeah, I would say so.
You know there are a lot of loyal and dedicated Lucas fans out there.
Yes.
And the fans that watch this show are a very loyal and passionate group of people. So for any fans who might be in their feelings a little bit, feeling a certain type of way,
Yeah.
what is your message about Lucas and his romantic journey on When Calls the Heart?
Well, I would like to thank all those fans, for championing Lucas and Elizabeth. That means a lot. And I imagine some people might feel quite upset with this turn of events. And I just think that at the end of the day, these characters have, it's the same as in real life. Things happen that you don't like and you don't expect. And especially when it comes to emotions and, people deciding who they want to be partners with, it doesn't always work out in your favor personally.
That's
At least
life.
that's just a part of life, and I think it's great to follow these characters on that journey as they find their footing and find their way. And nobody's perfect, and folks make mistakes, and I'm sure people can relate to being so sure about something and then realizing partway through that there's an aspect that doesn't quite feel right. I hope they can see that Elizabeth needs to be happy, right? Like, she's the hero of her show. If she has true happiness with Nathan, then I feel great about that. You know, I want her to be happy.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, it's a difficult journey, but it has been very tumultuous and very back and forth. But I feel like we've finally hit the end game, as they say.
Yes. Well, you know, I see you talking and you got this big smile on your face.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that Chris is a fan of Elizabeth with Nathan?
No, not at all.
Not at all? Because you're smiling and you seem very supportive.
I'm joking.
No, I know.
There's a part of me that's certainly disappointed about thinking, you know, for a while now that these characters are going to go together. And so when a discussion was had, it was like, hey, this might not be the case.
Yeah.
Things might shift drastically. I had a moment of going, what? But we'd already gone through all this, which I'm sure is what fan reactions might be.
Yes.
Right? Like, I thought we settled this. I thought everything was
Yeah.
concrete and we can move on. But there was one last twist. But I'm just happy to be working on the show. I love everybody I work with, and I'm more than happy to be a part of it. And so if that means that I'm playing Lucas as Elizabeth's love interest or not, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm happy either way.